Hey peeps, I'm here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about the elections. We'll be talking about the upcoming 2024 South Africa's elections, as well as the recently held local elections. This was on the 1st of November last year. So if you are interested to know more about how the elections will unfold, we have Khanya Ralarala, who is joining us and will be sharing his thoughts about the elections. He's a political analyst. Khanya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Amma, for inviting me. I'm hoping to have a great time.
Great, you're welcome. So yeah, everybody just stay tuned. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the basics now, just before we dig deep into the predictions of the upcoming elections, as well as just analyzing our recent local elections, just to give us like some basics. Why do you think it's important to vote? Why should people be encouraged to vote and not miss when it's time for voting?
Voting on its own is a right, and if we get to understand how it came to be a right, because back then a lot of Africans were not allowed to vote. So our forefathers lost their lives fighting for this, for everyone to have this right. So I think everyone should utilize this right, and also it's a way of, as a citizen, of sending a message.
That's true. That's true. I like that. So spot on. But then what does it mean? You know, people that are voting are mainly just like, you know, ordinary South Africans. What does it mean for them, for ordinary South Africans or ordinary citizens?
Okay, as an ordinary South African, I think voting, if you look at it, it's one of the few channels that every ordinary South African can participate in. For an example, if you are an ordinary South African and you are not elected to be in parliament, you are not elected to be in any council, you cannot participate in any governance. So the elections are only like one of the few channels that are available for South Africans to participate in, to also send a message to political parties.
Yeah, that's true. Why do you think, let's look back at the recent elections, the local elections that were held last year on the 1st of November. Why do you think caused the low voter turnouts? I mean, I was watching the news and people were not so happy with the turnout. Why do you think the turnout was quite low for the previous elections? And what do you think political parties should improve to encourage people to vote, maybe in their races in the upcoming 2024 national elections?
Okay, thank you, Amma, for that question. I think it's a great question. I've heard some analysts saying that elections, like it was a bad idea for government to choose a long weekend for elections, of which I doubt that contributed to the low voter turnout. For me, there are three things that led to the low voter turnout. It's the youth unemployment. Majority of our youth is unemployed, and they are angry with the governing party, of which the governing party is the ANC. Secondly, the other thing that led to the low voter turnout, it can be said that it's ESCOM and the load shedding, because South Africans are in the dark. And the other thing that I think might have contributed to the low voter turnout, it can be said that it's the lack of service delivery. Now, for South Africans, in a way to tell the government that they are angry with them, they chose to stay at home and not to vote for other political parties. I think we have to clarify that. The majority of our people chose to stay at home and not vote for any other party besides just staying at home, of which I think that is where also other political parties failed to capitalize. I'm talking about your DA, your EFF, because they couldn't lower down the ANC vote like traditional voters.
Yeah.
I think that's where they also failed, because if we are being honest, the ANC didn't necessarily lose power in these elections. It's just that the voters chose to stay at home.
That's true. Yeah. So, but Khanya, do you think it's the best idea? I mean, I know you're probably not going to be able to talk on their behalf, those who chose to stay at home. But just as a political analyst, you may maybe have some input. Do you think it's the best idea to choose to stay home and not vote as a way to make the government deliver? I mean, I understand we are facing a lot of challenges in the country, like you mentioned. There's load shedding, there's unemployment, there's a lot that the youth are experiencing. So does not really going to vote, is it an effective way to make the government deliver?
It's not an effective way, and I'm actually against that. As a South African, if you are unhappy about certain political parties, change. I think it's only fair to change your vote. I know we are all fed up with our political parties, but if we are being honest, there are some untested political parties who are eager to deliver service delivery to our people. So I think the best thing to do if you want change, I think, is just to change your vote. Because also I can't necessarily blame the ANC. I know the ANC is the party in power, but the DA is also in power in Western Cape. Your IFP is also in power in some of the municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal. So we can't necessarily say the ANC, but the governing party.
Yeah. Is there something that the ANC can do? Now we're looking at the 2024 national elections. So in preparation for that, do you think there's something that the ANC can do to improve their turnover?
There's a lot actually that they can do, but I'm not sure if they will be able to do it given the short time like that they can do that. Because we are in 2022 and the national elections will be happening in 2 years, of which now a number of things need to change before we go into the into the national elections. Yeah. As I just mentioned, that they have to improve on unemployment. They have to make drastic policies that will improve the lives of our people. Also, they have to fix ESCOM. So now, given that we are only left with 2 years, I'm not sure if they can do something to change that, because I have heard a lot of politicking from the ANC that the ANC is in a renewal process and also is fighting corruption and stuff. But to be honest, from the ordinary South Africans, I don't think they are looking at the renewal of the ANC. They are looking at the delivery of services. Is the party going to change? Is the party going to stop corruption? Also, is the party going to fix ESCOM? Is the party going to change the unemployment rate that is currently growing each and every quarter in South Africa? So I think if they can improve on some of those things, they can get their voters back to the voting ballot.
Yeah, for sure. But again, like you said, we have like two years left. And then there's the national elections. So now from what we can gather from or what we can really take from your message here is that the South Africans shouldn't stop to vote altogether just because they are angry at the ruling party, but they should rather consider other parties. I mean, there are a lot of parties in South Africa, and so maybe they should consider that rather than just to stop going to vote. I mean, like you indicated earlier, it is our right, it is everybody's right to vote. So thanks a lot for that, Khanya.
Okay, thank you so much.
So, Khanya, let's talk a little bit about the recent elections. I mean, I understand that there's been some coalition, which normally this does happen, like between the big parties in the municipalities. But for the recent elections, there were also some coalition between the parties. So, can you talk to us about this, especially in the big metros, and what this means for the ruling party or the governing party, which is the ANC?
Okay, Amma, thank you for this question. I will actually talk about the big 3 or big 5 metros in the country, which have coalitions. The first one being the Johannesburg Metro, the second being the Tshwane Metro, and the Nelson Mandela Bay. That is under the coalition that is led by the ANC. Now, what does that necessarily mean? It doesn't mean that voters said we want each so and so to govern us. It's a message from voters to say that the ANC or the DA or the EFF, of which in this case I will say the ANC, because the ANC has been governing most of these metros. The voters say, now we have given the ANC all this time to implement their policies and also deliver services to our people. Now, because they are unable to deliver services, we are also inviting other political parties to come to the table to form government. And also remember, they are not given majority by the voters. Voters are saying that we do not trust any of you. Now come together to form government. That is what is happening in these metros. Because now the DA cannot govern alone, the ANC cannot govern alone, and also the EFF cannot govern alone. Let me also include Herman Mashaba's Action Estate, because they also made a statement in the Johannesburg Metro. Now voters said, come together, form a government. We want your government. We no longer want only one party representing interests, of which this is what happened in Nelson Mandela Bay, because also the ANC in Nelson Mandela Bay needed some smaller parties to form government, of which the DA also needed some smaller parties in Eguhulen. It also needed smaller parties in Johannesburg and also in Swan. But now what this means for the ANC, it shows that the ANC is declining. I think now the ANC is reaching its expiry date.
Wow, oh my word, you are so on point. I like the way you're so frank. But hold on, Khanya, what are you in favor of the coalitions of governments? What are your where do you stand? Do you think it's a good thing? Can this continue?
Yes, I'm for coalition governments, but as any other form of government, they also have their disadvantages. Because also coalition governments, as much as they work in some places, but they don't work in some places because they are unstable, and also political parties work on the way they work. They have their egos. If the EFF wakes up on these other days to say that we no longer want to work with the DA, or the DA wakes up this other, or vice versa. So now I think for the future, I am for coalition governments. But political parties, I think they should start working on their egos, because coalition governments are unstable. And if they are unstable, who suffers the most when political parties fight is the people on the ground who voted for these political parties, because also it disturbs service delivery.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. Okay. Khanya, thanks a lot for that. That was really great. I like the way you answer that, and the way you're very frank and just on point. You are a great political analyst, I must say. Then I'm not going to let you go, because I have two burning questions that I've always just wanted to find out from politicians. And the first one being, what are your thoughts about the parties, political parties, especially when it's people are reaching elections, or when it's election time? The political parties, they go to the underprivileged, their homes, their communities, and they distribute T-shirts and caps and whatever merchandise that they own. They distribute that to the underprivileged. What are your thoughts? Is this the right thing to do, or you are against it, or what do you have to share in this regard?
It's not right at all. I think if we're honest, it's disgusting. And also it undermines the intelligence of the ordinary South Africans on the ground. Because now you can't tell me that after 5 years, when we elected you to go into council, after 5 years, the only thing you come back with to us is only a T-shirt. And also you ask my vote, like carrying that T-shirt. I think it's disgusting. Like now, I think if as a political party, you know that when you were elected to form a government, there is no need for you to also campaign. Like what you have provided, and also if you delivered services, it should speak for itself. There's no need for you to go into our homes bringing T-shirts, to asking for our votes. I think it's understanding the intelligence of the poor.
Absolutely. I actually agree with you on that. I mean, I may not be a politician, but I also don't like it when political parties do that. Thanks for that. And then my last question, can you please just share with us your predictions of the upcoming 2024 national elections? I mean, hope everybody's looking forward to those, but I'm excited to see what the outcomes will be, and to be great to hear from you as an analyst or commentator what your thoughts about this.
No, I think the ANC will receive less than 50% in these upcoming elections, of which it's an interesting thing, because the ANC has never received less than 50% in national elections. Now, in these elections, they might be receiving less than 50%. Now, they will be forced to go onto their knees and ask smaller parties to form government with. And also, if we look at other parties, they have at times worked together when they try to form coalitions in the metros, of which I can, if I put it in this way, I think they were testing waters for the big elections. Now, I think one thing that our political parties, especially the opposition parties, should work on from today or from the last elections, I think they should work on co-government, because that is the future of our politics. Co-governance is the future of our politics.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. You have been great, Khanya, and I am so excited that we finally create the time to have this conversation. And I really hope everybody get to watch it, because you are awesome. And I like your insights and the way you're very open, and your passion as well. I can clearly see the passion, and you are just great with this political commentating that you are doing. So this brings us to the end of our questions. I could talk to you the whole day and night, but we have to have a limit. So I would just like to say thank you so much for creating the time to share your thoughts about this topic. And it's been great chatting to you.
Thank you. It's the same thing. I think I can say the same about your channel. I'm a huge fan of your channel. So thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome, Khanya.